if you're gonna,
I think it's a smart.
oh, anybody coming up from the south?
Everywhere, yeah. It's basically what happened with Trent.
You guys are off tomorrow?
Dan?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's
NJ, oh. NJ.gov, Dan.
You're off? You're off?
He said yes.
I don't know.
Not even a delayed opening.
How are you, Terry?
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay. Are we all set? Dave? You good? Yeah, Dan's here. You good? Mary? You set? 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 Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for a short prayer and a salute to our flag? Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Terry, notice of publication?
Yes, Mayor, take notice that this regular meeting of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 11th day of February 2019 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Here.
Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Kilpatrick. Here. McGill. Novak.
Here.
Okay, before we start the meeting, I've asked our Chief of Police, John Zabrowski, to come forward with an important public announcement.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to let you know from your Office of Emergency Management that the governor had declared a state of emergency for tomorrow. The expectation for inclement weather is beginning to increase. They're talking about, I wouldn't say substantial snow, but we're talking about quite a bit of accumulation in inches. But yes, I heard that back there. Really, the ice and sleet sound to be substantial, particularly during the commute tomorrow. What does the state of emergency mean? We'll be putting out a little bit of information later on, but it really means do care. So if you don't have to go out tomorrow, don't go out. And when you do go out, remember that it's going to be restricted in the amount of speed. It's going to be restricted in some of the activities you can and cannot do, particularly if you're driving a truck. But in most cases, if you're driving, commuting back and forth to work, probably won't have a significant impact other than you need to have due caution in your driving. So I just wanted to let you know this evening that what the governor had alerted us all, the statement that will be coming out later, and just to be very, very careful tomorrow in your commute as well as coming home in the evening as well.
Thank you, Chief. We're also honored tonight to have our local State Senator Joe Vitale here. Senator, did you want to come up and make any comments about the state of emergency? Come on up, Senator. You're always welcome in Saraville. Big welcome.
Thanks, Mayor.
Is that, I think, hopefully the mic is on. All right.
This morning, and thank you. And he made the announcement as well. So depending on where we are in the state, so northernmost New Jersey, northwest Sussex County, Warren County, Morris County, at least so far, that's where the higher accumulations will be. They think anywhere from 3 to 6 to 8 inches, depends on the track. At the last minute could change. Further south we go, a little bit less, but I think the problem is also the ice changing temperature and freezing again, and we went through this last time. It was pretty awful. So they've been out, putting the brine down, doing salting, doing all that. So you don't have to be on the turnpike or the parkway tonight or tomorrow morning. Just be careful because the plows will be out. And if you see them behind you, pull over, let them pass you so that they're clearing the field for you as you go. But as the chief said, we're all going to be cautious about driving. You don't have to go out. State of emergency doesn't mean that you can't go out, but you really need to exercise caution when you're out there, particularly if you're taking kids back and forth to school. I don't think there's any delayed openings tomorrow. Have you heard anything about that?
Not yet.
Okay. So, keep tuned to that, I guess, to your local website and the announcements from the school. But other than that, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And with that, approval of the prior minutes for the mayor and council president.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the following minutes be approved, subject to correction if necessary. The January 28, 2019 regular agenda and executive sessions, as well as the January 28, 2019 special meeting.
Second.
Okay, with that, I'm going to turn the meeting, roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's pretty good roll call. We have a very important ceremony tonight. So with that, I'll call up Chief Zabrowski to be our MC and a couple other things. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. It is a significant night for the Sayreville Police Department. As you see, there is actually pretty much a packed house, and a number of officers are here tonight. And there are really two significant reasons for that. One of which is the introduction of a large group of new officers who have passed the Cape May Academy and are starting their careers with the Sayreville Police Department. The second is the ratification of a contract tonight, and that's significant in the fact that it leads and breeds the continuity for our department. Now, the officers that I'm going to be introducing in a few minutes have done extremely well down in Cape May. And what they are is they represent what I believe are some of the best that we have in Sayreville. They've done very well down there. They're satisfying sometimes their lifetime goal of being a police officer, and in certain cases also their goal of following in their tradition of family members, particularly in Sayreville, where you have two officers tonight that are going to be following in their father's footsteps. So, without further ado, I'm going to begin to introduce those officers tonight and ask they come up to the podium to receive their oath and also to come up with their families. And I'm going to begin with Patrolman Joseph McMahon and his family.
Solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear truth and faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of police officer of the Borough of Sayreville
all the duties of police officer of the Borough of Sayreville
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Family stays here. This he has to do on his own.
Joe, we need you to sign your oath.
Huh? I don't have to.
Now I'd like to call up Patrolman Peter Dufrat and his family. It should be noted that Peter was the High Academic Award winner at Cape May this year.
Feel free to move around with cameras.
I, Peter Dufrat,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of police officer for the Borough of Sayreville
all the duties of police officer of the Borough of Sayreville
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Officer, you need to sign, otherwise we can't send you pictures.
Now I'd like to call up Patrolman Matthew Zabrowski and his family.
I, Matthew Zabrowski,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of police officer of the Borough of Sayreville
all the duties of police officer of the Borough of Sayreville
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Now I'd like to call the family of Patrolman Michael Valentin.
Left on the Bible, raise your right and repeat after me, inserting your name.
I, Michael Valentine,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of police officer of the Borough of Sayreville
all duties of police officer of the Borough of Sayreville
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my
so
ability,
help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
and Patrolman George Lestock Jr. and his family.
Raise your right, repeat after me, inserting your name.
I, George Lesuck,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of police officer of the Borough of Saraville
all the duties of police officer of the Borough of Saraville
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Welcome.
Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing us to be part of your evening.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the best of the best, 5 new members of the Saraville Police Department. Terry, I'm gonna go after the room clears out.
The exact thing I need for. Okay, if you want.
Would someone shut the door? Still coming in? Okay. Is it- let me, they're just coming, a lot of them are just getting off the bus. So they haven't even gone home to have the dinner yet. Can I see a show of hands of the folks that are here about Academy Bus? All right. Fred, you did a good job. Thank you, Fred. With that, I'm gonna call Senator Joe Vitale up. He had wanted to speak to everyone. Terry, if you'd hand the senator a microphone. Joe, you don't need to address us. You can address the residents.
Thank you, Mayor. And thanks for coming out tonight. I know what it's like to commute. My wife commutes every day back and forth to New York, so I understand your concern, more than concerned about this issue. Predictability is everything. Going in a certain time, coming back a certain time, and having options, and it seems like Academy Bus is obviously pulling the rug out from all of you. So let me just begin by asking, how many here have been in touch with my office? Oh, good. Good number of you. Good. That's what we're here for. And also, I know that Lori, my chief of staff, has done a lot of work on this, and she's been emailing, I think, some of you back and forth, giving sort of updates, what we know, what we can share, which is everything that we know. You might have also heard that Academies, at least to this point, has agreed to extend service until the end of March, the 20th or 29th. It's a small, I wouldn't call it a victory, but at least it's something, right? So at least you know we can prepare for what may or may not happen. So I also want to acknowledge Lori for the work she did. She was out this weekend with one of our other staff members, literally driving the route to understand, mapping it out, and understanding what the issues are and the practical application of maybe some of the suggestions that we want to make to Academy. So and I'm going to just make a few comments, and then I'm going to listen to what you all have to say too. And I appreciate the mayor and the council giving our office the heads up about this and seeing how we can help, and for you all for calling us as well. Assemblyman Coughlin, our speaker, and Yvonne Lopez, my other office mate in Woodbridge. So we've been obviously in touch with Academy, and they're not very flexible. They did agree to extend service until the end of March, but that doesn't help us beyond that point. And as I understand it, you'll all correct me when I go off the rails, but the two service areas in Midtown and Wall Street are the two most affected routes, right? Both there and back. The number of routes now are 2 routes, I think, right? And the number of
3 in the morning that go to Wall Street.
Right.
3 in the morning that go to Midtown, and then the same.
Coming back. And those have been reduced over time, right? It used to be 5, then it was 4, then it's 3, and you kind of wonder whether this is sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. They want this to have happen by reducing the rate, reducing the times, and making it more difficult for folks to be able to get those routes.
And also the schedule changes.
And the schedule changes, right? So,
Plus they start different areas.
Right.
One starts Winding Woods, the other one starts Harbor Club.
right. So you've got the park and ride, and you've got the local stops that they make as they go through into Midtown and to Wall Street, and then back again. And it's not convenient, right? So you've got, the trains are different, right? Trains, my wife takes the train in every day. We're lucky that, it's pretty much on time. They have the issues, New Jersey Transit, but they're pretty much predictable. And that's important to all of you. You have jobs to go to, right? And families to come home to. And by changing these routes around and changing the times, just makes it really much more difficult. And that's on a perfect day, right? If the weather gets bad or something happens or bus breaks down or whatever, then it throws the whole thing into a big tailspin. It throws you all for a loop. So we've been in touch with the Academy and trying to get them to, be a little bit more flexible, again, giving us the next month. But in the meantime, we've discussed this issue with New Jersey Transit. The part about transit, the piece about transit is that they don't service Wall Street or Midtown, right? Their charter, what they're allowed to do is to take folks down to Port Authority. And for Port Authority, then you have to find your way. My wife goes to Port Authority on the train. She walks 10 blocks up 42nd Street to near Madison. So it's a bit of a hike. So we understand that. So they said that, we said to them, well, why don't we try to shift around the routes a little bit? Well, you have the Old Bridge Park and Ride, you've got the Sayreville Park and Ride, whatever it is that you take some of those buses off of the Route 9 as they're coming up from Lakewood, coming up Route 9. Make the quick turn onto Ernst Road, go down to the Sayreville Park and Ride. Maybe reduce the spots where we can collect folks but maybe more centralize it in Sayreville so that you at least have an opportunity to still get those buses to go out. So they're thinking about that too. So just so you know, we're exploring a variety of different options to present to them. You've given us lots of ideas to present to them as well. You know, Academy is a private bus company, and you know, like any other private company, they get to decide at the end of the day, you know, what they want to do. You know, there was New Jersey Transit is a different operation because they service, they're a state operation. They're funded by us, they're controlled by us. Academy is not. Academy is a private company. So they saw this, you know, years ago as a money-making opportunity, right? So what they do, they bus people in and out. And they decide over time that whether it's ridership or whether it's whatever other issue that they've decided that it's no longer profitable for them to do this, or as profitable, maybe not just it's not profitable, maybe it's just not as profitable. But what happens is that when you reduce the number of runs, you reduce the times that you can take those buses in and out, that's going to reduce ridership because people get frustrated. They can't meet those times and those hard deadlines. And so, yeah, you'll lose ridership. So it's like I said at the beginning, a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy that they've reduced these routes and now they want to eliminate them entirely. You know, we don't support that. You know, certainly Coughlin and I and Yvonne Lopez don't as well. And so what we're doing, we can to apply some pressure to think through these issues with them, provide some options, option A, option B, option C, to them and see what their response. And I'll just end by saying, I want to listen to everyone else and have certainly council and mayor weigh in, is that what does this mean in terms of the Midtown route and then the Wall Street route? So, you know, transit goes to Wall Street. I'm sorry, transit goes to Port Authority. It seems to me that the Wall Street route from Route 9 would be the one that might be a little bit more flexible for Academy. And I say that in quotes because I don't know whether or not they'll even go for that. Their explanation to us about Midtown is that Midtown might be the one that they just can't deal with at all. They can't find a compromise at all. And I said, well, what happens to those folks? We go to Port Authority and then what, walk 20 blocks, 10 blocks, 15 blocks to work, take a taxi from Port Authority to get up to Madison and 58th Street? That's crazy. So I'll sit down and be quiet for a while and just listen to what you all have to say. Just know that we're doing what we can to listen to you, to provide them with some options. You know, try to be as, you know, as polite as we can to them, but also provide as much pressure as possible to get them to see the light of day. So with that, Mayor, Council, I'll just sit in the audience with everyone else.
Thanks, Senator. For those standing in the back, there's plenty, there's more room up front if you want to come and sit down. Okay, so with that, I'm going to open it up for people only with the Academy bus issue. We have other parts of the program tonight to discuss other things going on in the borough. So this is specifically for the Academy commuters. So Fred, if you want to start it off, I know you're a bashful guy. So when you come up, if you just say your name and the street you live on for our record. Go ahead, Fred.
Thank you. Bashful I am. Fred Block, 25 Calliope. Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank also all the members of the council and the mayor, Dan. Also, I know you guys have all been working hard for this behind the scenes since we reached out. I tell everybody honestly here that for a fact they have been working hard for us to try to make something happen, you know, and I truly do believe that, and I thank you. With that said, Senator, thank you so much. You know, the biggest challenge here is you guys are bringing a voice to a problem that I don't think we have a voice for. Even though there's a lot of us affected, I think that that's what we really need is a voice. And I can't speak for the Midtown people here because I don't take that route, but the biggest challenge for the downtown route is anybody who goes downtown right now without this bus would have to probably go into Penn Station and then take a subway downtown, or take a train to Newark and then switch over and go to the PATH train. Or if you go to the Port Authority, then take a subway again, which is just basically adding to the commute time. Right. But the other part of that for the Midtown bus people, which I do know, is rather than just go to Port Authority, it also goes Madison and 34th, right? 42nd, right, they changed it, right? So it's 42nd and then Madison, right? Got it. And then on the way back, it does 5th Avenue down 34th.
But it goes all the way up to 58.
Oh, wow.
That's 16 blocks down the floor.
So in short, the reason why it's such a popular route is, people get off closer to their office.
Fred, if I may, I worked the city for 35 years. Tom Blando, you worked at the same or longer. I always use this statistic, 20 blocks to the mile in the city. So if you're walking 10 blocks, you got a half-mile walk, half mile there, half mile back. If you're doing 20 blocks, you got a mile walk in all kinds of weather, and that's a big problem.
And I don't think most of us mind it when it's nice out. But it does stink when it's cold or rainy or snowy or whatever. Optimally, I really, while the 30-day reprieve is good, I really think that one of the things that we really want to focus on is to try to find another bus company that may be interested to try to jump in on the route. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be concessions of some type to make that happen, but I know that that's something that was suggested.
I think what we need to do is we need to first get the affected people coherently organized so that, we can clearly identify what the needs are, how many runs, what the ridership is, so that we can then present it to people to see if it's a viable proposition for them.
That's right.
Is this making sense?
Totally.
Okay.
From a timing perspective, from a stops perspective, some people don't have cars, that kind of thing.
Okay, so I would think you would want a committee of 6 or 7 people. It's a very large burden for one person. We will put the resources of the borough, but what I don't want to do is leave anybody out of the process. And we need to have a way so that everybody, whether it's the commuter Facebook page or, Fred, you're more up on social media than I am. I'll leave it up to you. But we have to have a way so that we can all communicate with people and we can all get feedback rather quickly, because the next 40 days are going to go quick. And we can't wait on that. We'll with the senator's permission, we'll loop your office into this so that we have a lot of resources working to find a viable solution for you.
That sounds very good.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people here who are probably going to tell you very similar things, so I'm not going to take up all the
Okay,
time.
but I'm going to ask you to find 6 more people. It'll give you 7. If you want 10, you just don't want it too large, then it becomes cumbersome.
Understood.
6, 7 people, 5 to 7 people is usually right for what you need.
I did put out feelers for people who may be interested in kind of taking lead on something like this, and there were some responses, so I think
All
it'll
right,
work
well,
out.
I know how to do this, Fred.
Yeah, that's good.
Everyone wanting to be on this committee, please remain seated. Okay.
We talked to Transit about the potential of another route, another bus company taking over. So Transit is collecting all of the data from the Academy so that any prospective bus company who might be interested in doing this will have all the data. How many riders, how many times, whatever it is. Going cold to an operator without any information to go by and make a decision isn't helpful. So Transit is.
Would you give the senator a mic, Terry?
Transit's been tasked with getting all the, thank you, Transit's been tasked with getting all the information about the current route with Academy, how many riders, how often, all the data for the last year or so that any possible suitor, another bus company, could then have that information to make a faster decision whether or not they would like to pick up the route. So that information is helpful for them.
Thank you. I just would want to add, though, that I know that they're providing ridership stats. I'd be interested in knowing what the sales stats are, because while there may be low ridership, there are people who are buying monthly passes, and they may not be riding every day. That doesn't change the fact that they paid for it. So I would imagine that not just monthly passes, but 10 trip. They have the 10 trip, which is really 5 round trips. They also have daily trips, and then they have a senior discount pass. So I would be curious to know how that comes into play. And I know that New Jersey Transit was called to kind of do their own research. I saw them one day at the park and ride, and they were just asking people how many were on the buses. That's one day, and it unfortunately was a low rider day. So if they're using that one day for their counts as an example, I don't think it's a.
That's where we're gonna get all the information from the academy, like all of it, not just February, might be a low ridership month because of vacations or whatever, the holidays. Really get a snapshot of the entire year, not just one sort of isolated day or a week and enter some random month.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I go back to the sales information, because let's face it, in a business, everybody's gonna wanna see where the money is, right? So while they may be able to show low ridership, like a day where I might go in on the Wall Street bus, I might come home on a Midtown bus, that means I'm not being counted on the Wall Street bus. So it might skew the numbers, but the sales, I don't think would argue that. So that would be really helpful as
You know
well.
what, Joe, Senator, just take the two as an aggregate.
And that's pretty much, like I said, I know a lot of people want to speak. I don't want to take up a lot of time, and I really thank everybody for getting involved.
But Fred, I'm gonna look to you as the point guy,
Yes, sir.
and thanks for volunteering.
You know?
And there are plenty of people that have volunteered, they stayed seated, you know?
Honestly, there's a lot of people who are willing to step up.
I know, I know. Believe me, I have great empathy between the commute and the rest of your life. It doesn't leave a lot left. So this is what local government is about. We're here to help you. We're here to put your taxes to work for you in the form of resources at the municipal level and the senator at the legislative level. So let's get this done. But we got to work together.
Yes.
All right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. So, by the way, just to give credit where it's due, Fred contacted me as soon as he got that flyer. He took out his iPhone and took a picture and immediately sent it to me from the early morning bus. And so, Fred, thank you for being the man you are and the person you are. With that, I'm going to start on my left side, and we'll take any questions or comments that anybody on this issue wants to make. I'll have you come up to the podium. Yes, from the back? Yes. No, you need to come up there. And what I'll ask you to do is state your name and your street. Go ahead.
Wilma Montalvo, and I reside in Washington Road.
We didn't hear your name.
Wilma Montalvo,
Wilma Montalvo?
yes,
And what street?
Washington Road.
Okay, go ahead, Wilma.
Basically, one of the suggestions that I do have in case New Jersey Transit does stay with the run, and it's doing the 131, instead of it turning right on Washington, turn left and then do the commuter run, which would be all Washington, then up Main Street and go into the Parkway. That
Where does 131 start now?
I'm not sure where it starts.
Harbor, and then it comes, which part of Washington are you on?
I'm on the.
I mean,
going
which
towards
area?
Main Street.
If we go down to
North-
to Washington, are you to the left or to the right?
To the right, not to the left, when you're going down Washington.
So you're
it goes-
going up towards the brick house?
The brick house, I'm
Okay.
not sure what the brick house is.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You get home late.
Before. Yeah.
Okay.
So right now, the bus goes down Ernston and makes a right.
Oh,
going towards
okay.
the
Makes a
Parkway.
right at ShopRite.
At ShopRite, it makes a right
Okay.
at ShopRite. Instead of doing
Then
that,
goes up to the
make a
parking
left.
ride.
Make a left and going up towards Main Street.
Right.
Do Main Street.
Right.
And that would cover maybe 80% of the people.
Well, that bus goes to Port Authority, right? That route?
Yes, that would go to Port Authority, but at least that would be a solution for the local pickups and drop-offs,
Okay.
okay?
Are the buses carry 40 people?
48 to 53, depending on the bus.
Yeah,
Okay.
It says here, I just have the notes from Laura from my office. It said that they operate 131 through Sayreville, making 3 local stops before going to the Sayreville Park and Ride. We know it goes to Port Authority after that, but there are 13 buses to New York in the morning and 13 stops in the evening back to Sayreville. There's one additional local stop on the return trip to Sayreville, so it's 13 in and 13 out to Port Authority.
Okay.
Right, yes. So
Okay.
that would cover most of it. It wouldn't cover Winding Woods, though. So
Right.
they would have to use the MCAT or
Right.
whatever other resources you would have. But that would cover a lot of people on local streets,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you,
In the town.
Wilma.
Yeah.
Anyone else on this side of the room? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, council people, and state officials for their efforts to help the residents.
Could you state your name, sir?
Jignesh Shah. I just moved.
And your address or your street, Mr. Shah?
I'm at Main Street at Patriot Hills.
Okay.
We just moved 1.5 years ago to this
welcome to
township
Sayreville.
of Sayreville. And this was the main attraction for us to buy a house here in this township. So, but any middle class person or family who buys a house, it is a most important decision and investment of their life. Now we have made that decision to buy a house in this township by having this convenient route all the way to the Wall Street. Nobody else offers this. Only Academy route takes you to the downtown directly without taking subway, right? So now I don't think we can revert that decision back. And how we sell this house and go to another county, another place, which is more convenient than Sayreville. I mean, it doesn't play out like that. It's not that easy to make such decisions, right? So we are counting on all of you to make, that if Academy is not willing to take that, we request you to negotiate with another operator and reinstate the services which we had before, right? It will take away the quality family time from each and every commuter. And if we have to go to Midtown, Port Authority, and take the subway to downtown, which will add another $127 per month. So we are talking about 45 minutes of additional commute time plus $125 more, roughly into monthly budget. And another thing that I would like to say, I have cars, I drive, I have no problem. But I know a lot of commuters that they don't drive, right? So if we are coming up with a solution that everybody has to go to the park and ride at Sayreville and take the New Jersey Transit, or anybody has to go to Old Bridge Park and ride and take the Academy or New Jersey Transit, but we don't forget that a lot of people don't have cars and they don't drive, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shah. Yeah.
Mr. Shah, I don't want you to think that that's the only thing we're trying to do is to push people to the park and ride. No, I just want to let you know that we're looking at other alternatives to pick people up, which may not be the Academy bus. It may be a smaller bus. It might be other things that we can do to just funnel people maybe into a larger spot, which makes it more efficient for both a bus company operator and yourselves. So we don't want you to think we're just pushing everyone to the lot.
I really
Okay,
appreciate
okay.
and that's why I said that we are counting on you. Otherwise, we won't have.
Hi, everyone. Aisha Karvan here.
Your name there?
Aisha Karvan.
Ashton.
Aisha Karvan. AYSHAH. So, my husband and I both work in New York City, and the reason why we moved out here 15 years ago, and the reason why we chose to stay here is because of the commute. We both take Academy. It doesn't just affect me. I have 3 kids, and by the time I get home, it's like
Right.
5:20. I need to take them to activities. I need to take them
Right.
across town. I have older parents that do not drive, that take Academy bus, so
Are you going downtown or midtown?
downtown.
Downtown.
So this doesn't just affect us commuters, it affects family members, kids. I have nieces and nephews that commute into the city as interns that use Academy Bus.
Right.
You know, it's not every day, but it is during the summer, so.
No, it's a ripple effect. It affects your whole
It
life.
affects everyone.
Right. But we take this very seriously,
I
so,
hope. All right.
okay. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Patricia Martin, and I live at.
Could you spell your name for our clerk?
Patricia, Last name Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N.
Martin.
I'm one of those people who doesn't drive, never driven in my life, doesn't have a car.
Okay.
So I rely heavily on Academy to get me to Brooklyn. I also take a train from Wall Street to get to Brooklyn. So now, how am I going to, if we have to go to Old Bridge or even
Right.
the
It's not an
131,
option for
how
you.
am I getting there? I don't drive. Am I going to Uber? Then all of my salary is going to be paid in traveling, and it just can't happen. I will survive. And again, I moved to Saraville because I like Saraville, and the bus was convenient for me. So.
Which street do you live on, Ms. Martin?
Heritage Square, 5 Heritage Square, in Sheffield Town.
Sheffield Town.
Yes.
So you walk up to
So I
Ernston
walk
Road?
up to, no, I walk up to Main Street and.
Main Street?
Yes,
Okay.
at the towers, yeah.
Where you get it, by the police station?
No, right at the end. Park Village, yes, Park
You
Village.
walk down to Park Village?
Yes, and I don't mind walking to Park Village again. I need to walk to Park Village,
Ooh, okay.
not a problem, but we need some transportation,
No, that's a good walk.
yeah, it is.
Okay.
Especially wintertime and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So thank you for listening to us.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes. Is there anyone else on this side? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Senator.
You're welcome.
My name is Donatel Ray. I live on Center Drive. I moved to Saraville 26 years ago. I took Blue and Gray before Academy took over. Be careful what you pray for.
Right.
We started out with 5 buses. Academy is complaining of low ridership. They're the ones who are causing the low ridership. They changed the schedules, that it's ridiculous. People cannot make the bus. We went down to 3 buses. Now, the last schedule was 4:05, 5:05. How can people make the bus in 5 minutes?
You know, I do have a question for everyone here. I sent the ridership report from Academy to Fred. I don't know if you were able to post that or not. But it showed a dramatic, like a 50% drop in ridership
Yes.
in like the
Yes.
last 10 years. But
especially-
usually you guys all have friendships going on the bus. Did people did Wall Street lose that many jobs, or did people find other ways?
I take the mid.
It used to be 525, where people used to make the 525, it changed to 505. So people cannot make the 505.
I take the Midtown bus, and the last change was ridiculous. They expect people to make a bus at 4:05, 5:05. So what happened was,
To make it at 5:05, you'll get to work at 6.
no, I'm
What
talking about in
time?
the evening,
Oh,
In the
leaving.
evening.
Coming
4:05.
back
How can you possibly
from
make
the-
the first stop in 5 minutes? Well, 5:05.
And what time do you finish work?
I end up taking the last bus, and by the time I walk home, it's 10 to 8. I have
Oh, my
2
God.
elderly parents, yes, I have 2 elderly parents that live a house away from me. So in the meantime, I used to get the bus on Fifth Avenue and 42nd Street at 5:25. Now I have to wait till 6:08.
Is there a problem with the time in the mornings?
And no, it's basically at night.
Only the return
It's basically
time?
at night, yes, it's basically at night. But
Okay.
they're complaining of low ridership, but they are the ones who are causing it.
So
before-
what did most of the people do? Where
Jersey
did that
Transit.
50% of the people go
They
to?
went to Jersey Transit.
I beg your pardon?
They went to Jersey Transit, and a lot of those people are unhappy because now they have to pay for a parking ride. When there's snow and there's ice, they have to dig their car out, when they used to get off at a certain stop and walk home.
Right.
So you have people with disabilities, you have people who don't have transportation to get to the parking ride. and who relied on Academy making those stops. But they are the ones who caused the low ridership.
A lot of people moved to Old Bridge. Now they are going Old Bridge Park and Ride.
But you have people
and
who-
then somebody picks up them, and I know so many people. They
But
are
the
to
problem is-
East Brunswick and Old Bridge.
If I could finish. But the problem is, the people who went over to New Jersey Transit and took the Sayreville Park and Ride, they're not happy. Because like I said, in the winter, they have to dig their cars out of the park and ride when there's snow and there's ice. And if you would provide a decent bus company making those same routes, the same stops, you would get ridership back. But they have to have a decent schedule.
I mean, I live in the Woodside section and for 30-plus years. And for 30-plus years, I've been watching my neighbors walk up to Ernston Road to catch the bus to New York at very early.
A lot of people take the bus at Park Village. In the morning, there used to be 20 people on the line. You're lucky
There used to
if you
be a
had five.
huge line at Park
Even in the
Village.
evening on Fifth Avenue and 42nd Street, there used to be 10, 15 people. Now we're down to like 5. Because people don't want to wait an hour in order to get a bus, in order to commute another hour and a half.
All right, so in your group, Fred, you're gonna need to, you're gonna need to set up the times that the overwhelming majority of people, because when we present this to possible bus companies,
Yes.
it makes no sense. At 5:05 is just a death time for a bus
It's
company. You'll
ridiculous.
get no ridership. We don't want to
Yes.
duplicate a failed business model.
Exactly, but they caused it themselves.
I beg your
They
pardon?
caused it themselves. Low ridership was caused by Academy themselves.
If I can clarify, just to make it really clear. So at some point earlier on, the bus was like, for example, there was a 4:15 bus, a 5:15 bus, which gave people plenty of time to leave their office and be able to make that bus.
Yes.
When they made it 5:05, those people who left at 5 were never making it, so they found alternative arrangements for transportation rather than wait for the next hour ahead. And that goes for the 4 o'clock. There was also a 5:35, and there was also a 4:40, which was good for people who got off later, like 5:30, and they got rid of those buses also. So again, now they're piling everybody up into a 4:05 or a 5:05 or the 5:50, which is the final bus.
Which is impossible.
And really, that's why a lot of people said, that's it, I don't want to stay outside for 40 minutes waiting for the next bus, so they found alternative arrangements and never came back. And I would venture to guess that Academy got flooded with complaints when that happened. I would imagine, if you were to confront them, I'm pretty sure they would say, people were not happy with that change.
A lot of people don't say anything. Sorry, a lot of people don't complain because Academy has traditionally been unresponsive. If you have a complaint or whatever, you're lucky. I get thrilled when I get a phone call back.
We know how unresponsive are. There's nobody here from Academy tonight, and we've had a heck of a time having a conversation with them. So we're looking for alternatives.
Yeah, we appreciate it, but we do need something to pick people up along the route in order to get to the Sayreville Park and Ride.
Okay, I can't stress how important it is that there be 5 or 6 people here that'll work with Fred so we can make a comprehensive offering to a transportation provider so that they can make a business decision to make it work. But I really stress it, that I need about 5 more people, 6 more people, and then it will round it out. And then all the work doesn't fall to one person.
Any
I
help
believe we
can
have
give,
those
we
people.
appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay.
Thank you.
Young lady, yes, sir, come on up. Your name and street?
Hi, my name is Kanialal Gangani, and I live in a park village.
Yeah, you have to spell it.
Oh, my name is Kanaiya, and my last name is Gangani, and I live in a park village. So, like 2 years back, I moved to this beautiful city, as like many others, only because of this reason, and I take Academy bus. So last year they changed the timing, as Fred and other people have mentioned, to like say 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 like 5:58. So like the market close at like 4 o'clock, most of the people knows, right? So that is very hard for the most of the finance people to leave outside of the office and catch 4 o'clock bus, or they have to wait for 1 hour. So then I made a decision that I am not going to wait for in a winter for 1 hour, or I'm not going to wait for like 1 hour, losing my family time. So now just to the add on sales number, I generally purchase a monthly pass from the Cheesecake, which is basically I take morning bus from the Saraville, but I come back through the academy through to the Cheesecake Park and Ride. So I pay more money, and I was paying more money because in hope that they are as the same company as a group, and they're getting dollar amount in their pocket and they're providing the services. So like me, there will be many people who will be taking the passes, the monthly passes from the Old Bridge to the Wall Street, or Old Bridge to the Park and Ride, or Port Authority, and same thing from the Cheesecake. So my question is that are they counting those people as well in that one? The second thing which I would like to highlight is that losing the family time, I tried myself, I'm taking most of the times, is that like when you go to the forget about Old Bridge Park and Ride, there is no parking lot available. If you go, you have to wait, there is a waiting line, you cannot get it, you have to pay $5 or $10, whatever it is daily cost. If you go to the Cheesecake Park and Ride, the dollar amount is more, but again, if you go a little bit over like 7 o'clock onwards, you need to walk close to 7 minutes to reach to the bus stop. So it's like you are adding anyway 14 or 15 minutes in 2 ways. So most of the people are going to lose a lot of family times, and that is personally concerned me a lot. And if I don't have any other option, and if I have to not have a best services and to the Wall Street by any means, I would not mind moving out of this beautiful city, because it's costing me a lot of dollar amount. I'm paying my taxes, and I can't compromise my family time. So this is what I want to say, and I think most of the people will have the same concern in their heart, that selling out the property and moving out with a $10,000 loss will not cost more than moving in another county or another place where they can reach office in 30 to 40 minutes in a short time. So this is what I want to say personally, that I want to know the sales figure of per person who is buying the ticket, per their card number, or their per their street address or something, rather than just showing on the Wall Street to the Saraville route, because that doesn't make sense for me, because I'm not buying that car, monthly things for last 2 years. So they are not probably counting me in that route either. And I'm taking bus every day, in the morning. So this is what I want to say from my side.
Okay. Thank you.
So if I could just add 2 more things to that. So what he's referencing is the Cheesecake Park and Ride. There's a $40 additional fee for parking. And if you get there beyond 6 or 6:30, there's no parking. So that's a challenge there. And then I think I actually sent the information to you, Mayor, and Dan, from someone who's been using the Old Bridge Park and Ride for 14 years now, and is asking for help from state and local officials, because they're getting, literally getting problems over there as well, trying to get a bus. And I can only imagine that if
Getting a bus or getting a parking space for
getting a bus.
Really?
So this particular gentleman was complaining about being able to get a bus on time, or get a seat on a bus on time, watching multiple buses go through, and he's saying that it's not reasonable. And I can only imagine that if they're already having a problem in Old Bridge, that it's going to get worse when this line shuts down.
Mayor, if I may, the Old Bridge Park and Ride, the problem that we have with that is it's closed to several residents. They actually have to park over by Home Depot, by the Kentucky Fried Chicken over there. That's the only lot that we have access to. They've granted us spots at that part of the lot. So it's, it's a lengthy walk for them to get over there, and it's not really feasible for them, but that's part of the parking issue. The bus issue, I've heard several people say the same thing, that they have filled bus after filled bus. And it just appears that, the $40, $45 difference is what Academy is looking at per person. And my belief is that those 6 buses are going to end up going through those routes to get the $40 per person more.
The buses are full, Fred? Is that the problem?
I can't speak for Old Bridge, but I've heard horror stories from people who have.
All right, are there more? Yes, ma'am.
I don't even live in your town, but I do represent my father, okay, who lives in Colony Club,
Okay?
and he takes the bus for, I could say, more than 20 years. That goes to Midtown
Right.
Manhattan. Okay, because
What's your dad's name?
Stefan
Stefan?
Charnetsky.
That's easy to say and spell.
So it's got to be more than 20 years. My mom drives him to the stop in MacArthur by Whiting River, I believe, every morning. And then he comes from, he takes it on 5th Avenue, 51st Street.
Right.
So if that bus will no longer exist,
Right.
he will not be able to go
To get
Port
into the
Authority.
city.
He's 76 years old.
God bless him.
So, yes.
God bless him.
I personally would really appreciate if you could help with the Midtown bus.
The Midtown.
Correct.
This is Academy?
Yes.
Okay. They start at Winding Woods? Does he go to Winding Woods so that he gets his seat?
I don't know if it goes to Whitingwood, but he goes to,
He does get a seat, he's on my bus. I see him every
Okay.
Yeah, he's
There you
on
go.
he gets on 51st Street with
Yes.
us. And he's on the bus. And I'm not sure if he's handicapped, but I'm handicapped. I've had 2 hip replacements at my
Ooh.
age, believe it or not. And I cannot walk 16 blocks.
no,
So
that's
it's
impossible
not-
for
it's
him
impossible for
too.
me to walk it. So and even if I have to take the train, which I don't want to speak to
That's
everybody.
impossible
It
for
is a
him.
big walk from the bus to go down to the train station.
Right.
It's not just one walk.
Right.
It's a mission to get there, and with my handicap story, I can't. There's no way I can do it.
He will not be able to do that either.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from this side? All right, so now we'll start on this side. Anyone? Anyone? Yes.
Hi, my name is Lisa Wells. I live in Main Street Townhomes. I've been taking the Academy bus for about 10 years. I've also taken the train. I was taking the train up until recently because it was more convenient because of the changes in times. I work 1 block from the 42nd and 5th Avenue stop, so for me to have to commute, so what I use, when you take the Academy bus, I walk 3 minutes to the bus stop. I walk 3 minutes to my office. It was so inconvenient with the bad service that they provide that I chose to take the train, then I take a subway to Port Authority, then I take the shuttle to Grand Central. I think there are 2 issues here. One is specific to Sayreville and helping to accommodate people that are depending on this because they're 1-car families, no-car families. And also there's just a crisis in general in central New Jersey for commuters. We have people driving from Monmouth County to take this bus for years because there's no parking in Marlboro, there's no parking in Matawan, there's no parking elsewhere. So that's another huge issue. Some of the alternatives that you're suggesting to us aren't viable. They're not viable because there's no parking. They're not viable because the buses aren't reliable. Academy, if you go to their Facebook page, you will see in the northeast corridor of this country, commuters are furious with them and the service that they provide. Before the recession, during the recession, and after the recession. They have provided abominable service. Nobody wants to complain because everyone is so dependent on this bus, they don't want to lose it. Now they're suggesting that we pay them more and give them a guarantee to try and keep the bus, so they're extorting us. They provide us a service, they provide a public service. I understand if the bus is not profitable, that needs to be addressed, but they can't just pull the rug out from under us. They provide other services to the state of New Jersey. Those services can be leveraged for them to properly service the commuters in Middlesex County and Monmouth County. Their complaints for the bus that goes from Wall Street, from Monmouth County all the way up Route 9 are unbelievable. And it's just shocking to me that no one can hold them accountable, particularly at the state level. It's unconscionable to me that they're allowed to operate other profitable businesses, but yet not be accountable for how they treat the commuters in this town. So I'm hoping that you can find some resolution for the Sayreville residents and keep in mind that people don't have alternatives to drive places. and also that the buses at the Park and Ride in Old Bridge are not reliable. There's no parking. The Cheesequake stop, no parking, not reliable.
They're filled up.
So hopefully,
Right.
something can be done with the Park and Ride if there's no other choice, but you really have to understand the constraints. There's no ability to take the train because you can't get a parking permit at the train. And the trains also face weekly delays of over an hour in each direction.
I've heard the Jersey shoreline is full. They can't add another car to it. Like if you want to go out of South Amboy, you're standing going in and coming out. But just to help me understand it a little bit better. So anything coming out of Monmouth County for the Wall Street run, the buses are full when they leave Monmouth County?
The buses are full or they don't show up even. So that's a common complaint.
That's a bigger problem.
Particularly for the Wall Street people.
Okay, so the other thing is the park and rides in Middlesex County are full.
Yes.
All right, what is the issue with the Sayreville Park and Ride? Why is that not full? I'm not understanding. I always thought because if you could walk from your home to the corner and get a bus, why would you drive to a park and ride and pay $5 a day when walking from your home was free?
I don't know anything about the schedule for that except for
I'll call you up,
academy,
miss.
so-
I'll call you up.
So I don't know anything about the schedule for New Jersey Transit. I do know that my colleagues who have taken buses to the Port Authority from other places within the state of New Jersey have switched during this time when the trains are constrained and delayed because they can't get service out of Port Authority because Port Authority is over capacity. And if you're lucky to get on a bus out of Port Authority, no matter where you're going or who's running it, then you're sitting there for a half hour to an hour waiting in line to get out of the Port Authority. So it's a crisis that the state of New Jersey is facing. So while you can't solve that, you can keep that in mind for the alternatives that are being suggested. They have to be workable for people. You have to be able to park your car close to the bus stop. I don't want to go to the Park and Ride and have to park there at 6 o'clock in the morning because I have to wait online to take a 6:30 bus and I have to wait there for a half hour. That's what's happening. People have to go line up for buses. They show up, they let one or two people on, then you have to wait we're at the end of the line. After Sayreville, they get on their way. So if they're not going to have buses show up that are empty, then how are we ever going to get on a bus? Even if we can get parking. So it's not an easy situation to solve.
This is a problem far larger than the municipality, and I'm very grateful. Senator Joe is here, and we have the backing of his colleagues.
I'll end with this. I'm confident that if the state of New Jersey held hearings to hear about the service that Academy Bus provides within this state, you would be standing room only. I've been calling them for 10 years. We have been left I no longer take the 6 o'clock bus. I work 8 to 6. Thank God my managers let me leave early so I can now catch the 4:05. I have to leave my office an hour and 15 minutes early to take a bus home. The 6 o'clock bus was routinely 30 to 40 minutes late. Over the summer, they like to do summer camp pickups. So the 6 o'clock people would have to wait until they were done doing their summer camp pickups.
What time would you get home?
Well, the bus wouldn't pick us up till 6:30, 6:40. We're standing out there since 6 o'clock.
No, but what time would you get
8
home?
o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. There were plenty of times. There was one time the bus showed up over an hour late. We asked the bus driver, when did you know? Because I would always say that to someone when I called dispatch. Their dispatch are the most incapable people I've ever met in my life. It's a very simple thing. It's a very simple thing. If you know at 4 o'clock that the 5 o'clock bus is going to be a half hour late, send out an email. Do you know how many people will go to the train station, go somewhere else? No one would call to complain. I'd sit in my office. I'd go get a cup of coffee. But you have me standing out on the corner of a street in the winter waiting for a bus that you knew at 8 o'clock in the morning when you assigned the run to a bus driver and said, oh, you're going to do the 6 o'clock run from Midtown to Sayreville. And she says to you at 8 o'clock in the morning, I won't be there till 7 the earliest. And you say, okay. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. So a separate issue is addressing Academy's ability to operate. They may not have a contract with Sayreville, they may not have a contract with New Jersey Transit, but someone is giving them the license to do a charter bus company. Someone's giving them the business to run the Rutgers buses, and someone's giving them the business and the license to do business all along Route 9 into the city. Use that as leverage to make them treat us with some respect. If the bus isn't profitable, the bus isn't profitable, then we have to deal with that. But they can't just keep taking and taking and taking. They are a profitable company, okay? Part of being able to get that bigger piece of business is helping out the communities around us. So if they don't make so much money on Sayreville, is that really such a big deal? It's not. They're a profitable business. Right. If you want all the business, you need to help us out. Right. I appreciate you being here. I mostly appreciate that you guys let us go first. Apologies to all of you in the back, but we've had a really long day. Some of us had to leave work early to make sure that we were here.
Just so everyone knows, those are the Sayreville police officers, very gracious, very kind, very helpful people in our community.
Thank you.
Young lady?
Tina Farley, Cottonwood Drive, Green Valley Way. I've been commuting for 25 years from Sayreville to Wall Street. And when I first started commuting, I had 5 bus options, and I used to walk out of my development to Washington Road and take the bus directly in. When the bus options reduced, well, where I live also, I could only take the Harbor Club bus because there were 2 buses from Harbor Club that would pass my development and then go up Main Street. And then the other buses start from Winding Woods and go. So the Winding Wood bus was not an option for me, only the Harbor Club where I lived. So I changed, then when they built the park and ride, I got a parking space there, so I would have all the options, the 3 options, because it was 4, and then it got reduced to 3. But that's why I moved to the parking ride. I think that parking ride would be full if we had more options again. But now that it got reduced, that's probably a reason why not many people are driving to the Sayreville Park and Ride to go into the city. But I think another problem is that now what we're going to do, if we have to go to Cheesequake, there isn't parking, and the buses are overcrowded.
Are no options.
No. So we really need
we have to make this work.
Yeah, we need.
That's the option.
Yeah.
Let's make it work. I mean, it's easy to say that.
But
It's gonna
Academy
be
needs
Herculean to
competition.
make it happen.
They need competition. They have no competition, so then they do whatever they want to do.
I'm not looking to get even, I'm just looking to get you to and from work.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to do.
So,
Thank you.
okay. We're back to this side. Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
My name's Michael Collins, and I live in Park Village. Okay, I've been taking the bus since 1991. Myself, before Blue and Gray, we had an old guy named Joe, and he had 10 passengers on the bus, and somehow he kept that bus on the road and didn't complain low ridership. As you can see today, we've got a couple of bus loads here.
Right.
And apparently there's low ridership.
Right.
Okay? But if there's 3 buses and there's low ridership, wouldn't it be like the normal business thing to do, cut down 1 bus, and then you have 2? But no, they're yanking all 3 of them, okay? Also, apparently they own the route. Well, if they own the route and they want to get out, why are they not finding another bus company to sell the route to? Won't they make money?
Well, we found through research, Dan, if you would.
They don't own the route.
They don't, okay.
Okay, so
Do they have to make a permit or anything like that?
they don't have to, they do not have to make, this was, they don't own the route, let's leave it
Okay.
at
All right,
that.
fair enough,
But New
fair
Jersey
enough.
Transit involved, and we're
Right.
understanding more about it, but they don't own the route.
That's not necessarily bad news, because it gives us much greater flexibility in trying to attract somebody else. we don't have to go through any regulatory litigation to establish new routes here in Sayreville. So it's not really bad news in this situation, it's good news. One less hurdle that we have to make.
Another thing I'd like to point out is that we're in the same situation, take the Midtown, we're in the same situation as the downtown, because if you come into Port Authority, you're gonna have to spend another $120 every 4 weeks to take a train up to wherever you work, 60th Street, 3rd Avenue, wherever. If Port Authority, you're going to Port Authority, you're gonna be spending that. You're also gonna have additional cost on gas. Also, you're gonna have another, for the town, you're gonna have about another 100 cars on the road every rush hour, morning and night. That's gonna impede school bus schedules, people trying to get the kids on to school, EMS stuff, you know, we're crowded enough as it is. So please, we need to we to find a solution.
If I may interrupt you for a minute, does everybody have the same feeling that there are the same amount of people commuting into New York as there were 10 years ago? They're just, they've found other things? There's more. So it's not, because when I first saw this report of the reduction in ridership, I thought that, you know, the Wall Street reassessment, realignment had wiped out a lot of jobs for people that were living in our town. But you don't think so? All right. All right. So then we'll proceed that there's a very viable customer base. We just need to get the information together so that it makes a good business proposition for someone.
Yeah, one other point I'd like to make, just to reiterate what a gentleman made, statement he made before. Many of us bought in this town because of this situation, that there's a commute into New York. Myself, and I have 3 siblings who moved here because of that. Any advertisement you see for houses on sale or any new developments, it's always, this is a big selling point. You take away that selling point, not only hurts the town, it devalues everybody's house value, not just us bus drivers, everybody.
Nobody sitting up here is looking to fail.
No, right?
We don't go through what we go through to sit up here to fail.
Right.
We come up here to, as my predecessor said, succeed in Sayreville, and that's what we want to do up here.
I just wanted to point out that, as you can see, maybe we're just a couple of hundred people on buses, but it affects everybody in the town, affects the economy of the town.
We're with you.
It's not just us and our families. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else from this side? Yes.
I'm just gonna say something quick. I don't want to repeat everybody's statement. I'm Ingrid Scott. And
Can we get your name there?
Ingrid Scott, Horseshoe Road. I purchased a home here.
Where do you pick it up down on Horseshoe Road? Does it stop?
Yes, it stops on Avon Road and Main Street in front of the vet.
You gotta walk up there
So I
from
walk like
Horseshoe
a
Road?
block. Yeah, it's not that far. It's not, on the Main Street extension, I'm right there.
You got, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not that far of a walk, because there
Okay.
is a stop there.
Okay.
But one of the main reasons, I actually moved here 3 years ago. And one of the main reasons that this attracted me was the same thing as everybody else. It's the best route for me to go into the city. And not just, even if I go to Midtown or downtown, because I do meetings in downtown, it is very hard if I would have to go to Park and Ride and drive there and then take the MTA bus subway.
Okay.
And I don't want to repeat everybody else's statement, but like I said, nobody has mentioned here about handicapped people, but I myself am handicapped. I mean, I look handicapped. You cannot judge a book by its cover because I don't look it, but I am handicapped. And I cannot walk the 16 blocks to get to where I have to go in the city. So.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to make a statement for the record? Yes, sir.
My name is Nurali Kananoff. I'm an 18.
Wait a minute.
Nurali, N-U-R-A-L-I, Kananoff, K-H-A-N-A-N-O-V, Kananoff.
Thank you.
I'm at Burns Lane West, and I want to share a story because I used to be in Old Bridge. So when I would commute, my wait time would sometimes be 30 to 60 minutes, and it was on actually 516. So it wasn't, again, it happened on multiple occasions when it was freezing, and it was a long line of people. So actually, maybe as a suggestion, we can somehow get actually Old Bridge involved. Because if we actually help them out, and they're actually, again, since I was there, it's horrible. I would wait a lot, the buses just skip because they're full, and again, all the people towards, again, 516 and north, I would have the last seat on multiple days. So again, from Route 516 and going north, again, that's like, I want to say 4 stops, so we can help them out, but that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
How you doing? My name is Parag Shah, P-A-R-A-G, last name Shah, S-H-A-H. I just moved to Sayreville 4 months ago from Jersey City.
Thank you.
I work downtown, but I wanted to purchase a home. What was the best route to Wall Street? Academy bus. I live at Park Village off White Oaks, and just want to put this on the record that I just moved here 3-4 months ago and I can't move back.
Well, one thing I always find about the people of Sayreville, even though we might get knocked down once in a while, we really know how to get back up.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. 'Cause I can't go back.
Don't underestimate us.
All right.
You're one of us now, so.
Thank you.
You're part of the team. All right, just so everybody knows, back around 1986, my cousin moved here from Long Island. In those days, Merrill Lynch was on Church Street. It hadn't moved over to the Twin Towers. She used to walk across from the sunny side. She lived up Dane Street. She'd walk down, get the bus. It would drop her off in front of Merrill Lynch. Same way on the way home. She thought it was the greatest thing on earth compared to the commute she had on Long Island. So we need to go back in time, and we need to put the customer first. And I know with the help of Senator Vitale's office and with the 6 council people, myself, Dan Frankel, Terry, we're gonna find some kind of solution. But I need your help. I need you to participate. And Fred, putting a lot of pressure on you. All right. Okay. Fred, we're going to bring everybody into room 308 there.
I just want to gather their name, address, email address for contact information, and the point of drop-off in the city, so we know whether or not it's midtown, downtown, and where you were looking to accommodate them to. So we could all.
Is everybody okay with that? We're not sharing the list. We'll share it with Senator Joe, but it's so that we have a means of putting you in the loop. Thank you, everyone. I was really worried.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys want to go to consent agenda so the police can go home. Joe, thank you, my friend. No, I'm going to do, what is it, consent agenda? I want to get the cops home. We're all in agreement on that. We're going to do consent agenda. We're going to do the consent agenda, then I'll go back to the beginning. Work with me. Work with me. We're going to be done before the state of emergency takes effect.
Mayor, can we make an announcement that school has officially been closed?
Go ahead.
There we go. So for everybody that stayed through, the school is officially closed now. Like many others, be safe, and kids get an extra day for homework, so.
Captain Plumacher, would you let all those commuters know they got a bigger headache tomorrow than they do right now, which is the schools are closed? You're the best. Huh? So that the police, is it a resolution? Oh, it's a consent agenda. Yeah, okay. Contract. Terry. Come on. Okay, we're jumping around tonight so that a lot of good people can get home, and I include you guys and girls. So with that, we're gonna go right to the consent agenda item and the item that you're here for. So with that, I'm gonna open the public portion for any questions or comments on consent agenda items. That's number 8 on our agenda. Are there any questions? There being no questions, I'm going to ask for a motion.
Mayor, I move the public portion be closed and the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Buchanan?
Yes.
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
McGill? Novak?
Everything but 66. I abstain on that.
Okay, gentlemen, ladies, we thank you for your service to Sayreville. We thank you for the people you are. Please continue to serve and protect. Johnny, how you liking retirement? You're looking good.
Kennedy. I have no clue.
Okay, now we're going to
Now,
closed session.
Borough of Sayreville has a resolution for closed session, whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Sayreville, the public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session for approximately 15 minutes to discuss the following matters: personnel. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open portion of this public meeting to consider any of the matters which may be properly brought before it. The nature and content of the discussion which occurs in closed session shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Move the resolution be approved on roll call vote.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Buchanan?
Yes.
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
McGill? Novak?
Yes.
Okay, be about 10, 15 minutes.
Guess we're going in here. Yeah, they're all in 310.
It is Rebecca. I thought that was you. Smile, nothing? Talk to the chief chef. On everything else.
Hey, on this, I had to ask somebody to come on environmental. So, this is like a mother-daughter. Is this random? I could put one on you. Everybody okay with that?
Vicky, you practiced so long. Why are we taking so long?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Appointments. We have two applications. We had-
We also have two names on our agenda. These came in late this afternoon that you have in your hand.
All right. Okay, so I think it's like a mother-daughter. So we have Sophia Marcella and Eunice, I can't pronounce it, Drumford?
Yep, Drumford.
Okay. And they're both interested in environmental and human relations, but I think I only have an opening for one on each. So the mom has been very.
Hold on.
No, okay, you may,
And environmental, yeah.
no, I have somebody that I asked, they're in the process.
But we have several openings.
I-
right there, and you- and
well,
environmental,
wait a minute.
we've got several openings.
Wait. What I'm showing is we have Ernie, no, we have, which ones are open here?
Right here, I'll give you the updated list here. Maybe penciled in, but
It's open or closed?
the spots that are blank are.
All right, so Shirley Reed took Terry's. I have to get a planning board member on there. All right? Which leaves a 3-year member and an alternate. If it's okay with everybody, I wanted to put Sophia on as the alternate on the environmental. And if you'd like to add her to the HRH, which she might be very good because she has a big job with ARC. All right?
And human relations.
Yes, and human relations. And then her daughter Eunice would go on human relations also. And then Mr. Patel wanted to go on to rec. Any objections?
I believe that's a
Oh, right,
woman, no.
Ms.
It's Boomy, it's a girl. It's a girl.
Okay.
Boomy Patel.
Bumi's, I'm sorry. And then Fred Block onto the Tech Advisory Board.
Move the appointments be approved?
Yep.
All right, we all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that was easy. I like the way this night is going already. All right, what? Right, okay, Terry, next order of business?
I'm sorry, introduction of the following ordinances. Ordinance number 438-19, calendar year 2019, ordinance to exceed municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank in accordance with NJSA 48-4-45.14.
Councilman Miguel?
Thank you, Mayor. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on February 25th, 2019.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I need a roll call on that, Mayor.
Roll call?
Councilman McGill?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes.
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 439-19, an ordinance fixing the certain salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the years 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22.
Councilman McGill?
I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on February 25th, 2019.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilpersons McGill?
Yes.
Buchanan?
Yes.
Delina?
Yes.
Enriquez?
Yes.
Kilpatrick?
Yes.
Novak?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 440-19, bond ordinance amending and supplementing bond ordinance number 420-18, finally adopted by the Borough Council, Borough of Sayreville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey on June 25th, 2018, which provided for certain various improvements in, by, and for the borough to amend section 3A and 4D, therefore to include engineering design work for Smullen Street and Church Street improvements, and to reflect the increase in the amount of engineering costs.
Thank you again, Mayor.
Councilman Miguel.
Move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on February 25th, 2019.
Second?
Roll call.
Councilpersons McGill,
Yes.
Buchanan.
Yes.
Selena.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Kilpatrick. Novak.
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 441-19, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 7 of the Revised General Ordinance of the Borough of Sayreville to amend Section 7-6 through streets, stop intersection, and yield intersections.
Councilman Buchanan.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on February 25th, 2019.
Second?
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Kilpatrick.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance number 442-19, an ordinance fixing the salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the years 2018, 19, and 20 as commensurated in the PBA Local 98 bargaining agreement.
Councilman Buchanan.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing to be held on February 25th, 2019.
Second?
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Yes.
Delina.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Yes.
Kilpatrick.
Yes.
McGill.
Yes.
Novak.
Abstain?
Okay, CFO's report, Denise.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Borough Engineers report, Jay Cornell. Borough Attorney's report, Michael Dupont.
No report, Mayor.
At this time, we're going to open the public portion for questions or comments. Are there any? Ruth Ann?
Good evening. Ruth Ann Mahoney, 2 Gerard Place, Parlin. My concern, once again, is North Ernston and Washington Road intersection and coming up more ShopRite and the Chase Bank. I'm walking and driving there quite often because that's where I live. The other day, last week, I saw a child coming home from school. I don't know how she didn't get hit. I stopped to let the pedestrian cross. Thank God nobody passed me. But coming the other way, I was going towards Washington. This young lady was crossing from school. Somebody was pulling out a ShopRite, didn't stop. God must have been with her. I don't know how she didn't get hit. I see it more and more. It's terrible it was bad enough, but now with ShopRite entrance and exit, and the Chase Bank exit and exit, entrance and exit, they're almost right across from one another. People don't stop for the pedestrians to begin with. And then when school is out, the high school and middle school, they have crossing guards on Washington, but the kids cross over because there's only 4 houses on the one side of Ernston. The rest of them go home to Patriot Hills or Sarebrook or the other one that's in front of me, I forget. And they're crossing Ernston Road by themselves after school. And I see this time and time again, and it's a very big concern. Now, adults do it too, but my concern, when I saw this young lady, I was like, oh my God. And I walk now, and it's frightening. I don't know if anything can be done, or if they're thinking about it, but it's a big concern from my immediate area.
We also have that bridge coming over from the park, so a lot of the kids will go through the park on the way home, cut over on the
through.
bridge, and then pop out there by the ShopRite entrance.
Right. I don't know if they can put in, if there's a
I'll
thought of putting
ask
in-
traffic, we'll have traffic take a look at that and see if they can make any recommendations.
Please, yeah, and I know they put, I don't know if it's a car counter or something, they did put across the road near Gerard.
Right.
But thank you, it is a big concern.
Okay, thank you, Ruth Ann. Are there any other questions or comments? Being no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Will the public portion be closed?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're gonna go into the agenda meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That this agenda session of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 11th day of February 2019 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan. Here. Delina.
Here.
Enriquez.
Here.
Kilpatrick. Here. Gill.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
With that, anybody have a point or a question or a comment, please call out. Ordinance 438, 439, 440, 441, 442. Committee reports, Administration of Finance, Councilman McGill.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see what we got here. I move the ordinance be approved on first reading and advertising. Whoop, I'm sorry, motion to adopt an ordinance.
Nope.
Where are we?
Just your report.
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm the only person working here. Administration of Finance. B, application received for bingo raffle licenses for the following organization: PTA Memorial Elementary Lawrence Harbor School, to conduct on-premise 50/50 and an on-premise draw, a tricky tray on March 15th, 2019. That is RA 225 and 2253.
Any objection? Next item.
Number 3, Sayreville Senior Center Tuesday Club to conduct on-premise a 50/50 on 10 dates through 2019 under RA 2254.
Any objection? Next item.
PTO Sayreville Upper Elementary School can conduct a bingo on-premise draw, a tricky tray, and on-premise 50/50 on April 5th, 2019 at the UES, and that's under RA 2255, BA 532, and RA 2256.
Any objection? Next item.
And the Old Bridge School Dance Competition
Any
to
objection?
conduct on-premise draw, tricky tray on March 3rd, 2019 at the VFW Post 4699 Journey Mill Road, RA 2277.
Any objection? Next item.
Yeah, also, we have a tax appeal received from Ann Cornell, Block 142, Lot 8, 142 Main Street, and a beauty shop application received from Jenna Sisolak to operate a beauty salon and Salon Genesis operating for 4 chairs located at 3225-B Washington Road.
Any objection? Anything else, Councilman?
Progress, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Planning and Zoning, Councilman Delina.
I just want to say, so I work at Middlesex County College, and on February 22nd, the college will be having its annual casino night. If anyone's interested, you can contact the foundation office. Other than that, progress, Mayor.
Make sure you tell your father my regards.
I will.
Okay. Public Works, Councilwoman Novak.
Yes, Mayor, I've got no minutes of departmental reports. I'd like to put on the hiring of, well, actually, the moving of Kyle Quackenbush to Labor and Public Works from meter reader in the Water Department effective March 1st.
It's not on here, Mary.
Excuse me?
It's not on here.
I know, that's why I'm reading it.
I think it's being held over because we have to find a replacement for him before we move him into Public Works.
I thought that was taken care of.
No, it's not.
Well, how long is it going to be? Because we're
They-
gonna be short one person.
Everybody would be short one person. He requested it. We put a request in for interviews. The Director of Water and Sewer has those applications, and he's going to interview, I assume, imminently.
All right, well, I mean, if he's going to do it, why can't we just do this? It's effective March 1st. I mean, that's over 2 weeks from now.
Because he doesn't have a replacement. He's a meter reader. He's a person who's reading meters in the Water and Sewer Department. I'm not saying he's not necessary in
Is that his
here.
title?
He's a,
So somebody else can do that job.
Dan, I don't know who else can do the job, okay, right now. I'm just saying is that I was asked to wait, okay, if we can wait till we find a replacement and the interviews are being conducted.
Do we have any idea how long that's going to take?
I don't. I would say that if you have a list of interviews, you're probably interviewing someone in the next week to 10 days.
We never had this process before where we fill a non-vacancy before it's vacant like that. We're filling a non-vacancy yet right now. That's what we're interviewing for because he's not vacant yet. So we're applying for, they're interviewing for someone who's not even there. But we have an opening in Public Works, so why are we not filling it?
No, the opening will be March 1st. That's when
Right, in Public Works. So why don't we just do it effective March 1st?
That's what I
That's
said.
what that would be, but what he's saying is that,
March 1st.
so what do
But
we say?
we never held up somebody being moved over for somebody else to interview in that position.
The spots aren't vacant, the spots are not vacant yet. We're not doing it yet because the spot is not vacant yet. That's the issue. So if it's vacant, I understand, but it's not vacant yet.
The janitorial position isn't vacant yet.
Till March 1st.
Till March
That's why I
1st.
said
Right.
So that way he can't move and then we can't interview until the position is vacant? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, we're trying to accommodate the employee that would like to move by conducting interviews. So we are going to conduct those interviews. So I don't have a replacement, I don't have a person chosen to present to council to replace the person who wants to move from water sewer to Public Works. I don't have a replacement for that yet. Your call.
So you're looking to accommodate that the person that is being replaced has the replacement, so you want to be able to fill both positions at one time, basically,
like
on the
to.
agenda. And there's nobody currently, in the event that this gentleman moved over come March 1st, if there's no person to read meters, then we don't have anybody to read meters.
Don't have that answer at my fingertips right now.
It's a pleasure. I mean,
it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You might not have anybody to read meters, we'll not have nobody.
I would like it on the agenda for the next meeting.
well, that should give
My
enough time for
opinion.
interviews, wouldn't it?
Should, it gives you 2 weeks.
Yeah, it has,
Okay,
yes.
so I think that's good. Have it on the agenda for next meeting, it gives 2 weeks for interview process to take place. And if we have to revisit it because something happens, then we do so. But at least this way it gets it on the agenda.
Are you asking for it to be placed on the consent agenda resolutions?
Yes.
Okay, next item? Okay, Recreation, Councilman Enrique.
Minutes and departmental reports, none. Application for a special event received from the First Presbyterian Church, 172 Main Street, to hold a flea market fundraiser on June 1st, 2019. All the reports were favorable.
Any objection? Anything else, Councilman?
Progress.
Thank you. Water and Sewer Environmental, Councilwoman Kilpatrick.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no minutes or departmental reports for today. I would just like to say everyone be safe on the roads and enjoy the snow day to those that have it.
Okay, next, Public Safety, Council President Buchanan.
Thank you, Mayor. Letter B, we received a letter of resignation from Morris Beasy as a member of the Human Relations Committee. I'd like to have that received and filed.
Next item.
Letter C, request for a proclamation naming November 22nd as 22Q Awareness Day in support of the International 2211.2 Foundation for their achievements in providing resources. This is an organization that's international organization. They're looking at, it's a personal issue for me, but what they're looking for is a proclamation so that it could spread throughout the county, the towns, the states, eventually being recognized throughout the country. It's the second most common chromosome anomaly next to Down syndrome, and not many people know about it. So we're looking to get a proclamation naming November 22nd as that day. So I would like to see that
I'll
approved.
ask a silly question. Any objection?
Thank you, Mayor.
Next item, Council.
Letter D received, a letter received from Morgan Hose and Chemical Company Number 1, accepting firefighter application for Thomas Sikowski as an associate member of the Morgan Hose. I'd like to have that approved.
Any objection? Anything else, Councilman?
just-
Council President?
Nothing, just on, Dan has a couple things that we're going to go over with his report.
Okay. For me, I had a lunch with a developer on Saturday in East Brunswick, and where the hell was it? At the ramen place up there by Best Buy on Route 18. It was convenient, and we were just playing catch-up. It was with Kevin Paulston of the Riverton Group. It was just convenient. We met on Saturday. He's traveling, I'm commuting, and we just decided to meet and have a bowl of noodle soup. Also, my sincere thanks for a very honorable and brilliant career here in Saraville's Borough Hall for Dan Balka. Friday will be his last day. He is moving on to a promotion where he will be the CFO of South Amboy with the venerable and sometimes wild business administrator, retired police captain Glenn Skarzinski. So I wish the two Polish men from Saraville well with our Irish brothers across town lines. But Dan was an excellent employee. He was very diligent. He was excellent at what he did, and he will be superb as a CFO. So Dan, we wish you the very best of luck. With that, we'll go to the business administrator's report.
I had one other item under your agenda.
What was my item?
The
Where
supporting
is it?
resolution for the Path to Progress
Oh,
report,
yeah.
which was received.
Yep. Where is it?
It's just listed on your agenda for
Okay,
discussion.
we
It's in
we
your
went over
packet.
this like a meeting or two ago. This is Senator Sweeney's reso. It's a path to progress. You had asked for some information. His office sent it up. Is there any objection to this going on?
Yes.
There is objection. And what is the objection?
You want me to go first, or you want?
I'll go first. Well, we're missing every other page. We only have every other page of this. But even
Didn't
if
call me today, I could have got that information to you. It was copied incorrectly. I apologize for that.
Well, I'll make a statement.
I had called Terry on Friday, and I said I couldn't open the emailed one, and I asked her if we were gonna have a hard copy, because I wasn't home, so I didn't get my mail at the time. And then when I did read this, it's missing every other page. But in quite fairness, some of the things that I could read, I really was not in favor of. I feel like this is really going after the borough, all of the state employees. And the things that are discussed in here that they're trying to do by legislation should be discussed at the bargaining table. So I would not be in favor of this, even if I had all the pages.
I'll second Councilwoman Novak's comments. While it is every other page that's listed, the pages that are on there is nothing more than an attack on the collective bargaining agreements that, public employees have. The changes that would be made, I mean, Chapter 78, we're all still trying to deal with those consequences as teachers, police, and other public employees. This would be Chapter 78 in triplicate in a lot of ways. It's probably one of the worst things that I've ever read, and I'm actually grateful that they only sent half of the document, because I can only imagine how I would feel had I read the entirety. So even with the entire piece brought before us, you can call it whatever you want. It is far from a path to progress for anybody that works under a collective bargaining agreement or is a state employee. So that would be emphatically no.
Okay, how do the other four council people feel about this?
Mayor, if I may, let's just go on page 5, where the first recommendation is merge all K4, K5, K6, K8, and K9 school districts into a K12 regional district. Permit the establishment of 2 countywide school district pilot programs. It's revamping government. So I would be against just looking at the top here. Be against it.
Some more of the first pages.
Councilman Enrique?
I have to agree with Dan here, that the way this is written from what we could read is totally rewriting what is established right now, so
Okay.
I can't get on board with that right off the bat
Okay.
without having a full document to see everything.
That's 4 votes. So unless Councilman McGill and,
I feel the same way as.
okay, Councilman?
Mayor, I just feel it's it's an impingement on local government and collective bargaining.
Okay. All right. So that's out. All right. With that, we'll go to the Business Administrator's Report. Dan Frankel?
Thank you, Mayor. A letter of resignation received from Dan Balco as Chief Accountant effective February 15th, 2019.
Next item.
Authorization to retain Chief Accountant services on a temporary basis at the rate of $90 per hour.
Next item.
Authorization to contract with Stern and Dragoset to perform appraisal services for 444 Hartle Street, Block 59.02, Lot 1.07.
Next item.
Authorization to contract with Edmonds and Associates for proprietary finance software.
Next, Public Safety?
Authorization to reject low bid from First Priority Emergency Vehicles as non-responsive due to the fact that they cannot satisfy the contract requirements, and further award said contract for repair and maintenance of fire apparatus to Fire and Safety Services of South Plainfield.
Next item.
Authorization to execute a shared service agreement with the Township of Old Bridge for the use of Sayreville's firearms range facility.
Next item.
Authorization to submit a grant application and further execution of the grant agreement with NJDOT Highway Safety Project.
Next item.
Emergency medical services, we wanted to give you an update. I have received 4 to 5 RFPs from different municipalities. Right now, our borough attorney and myself have been poring over that, taking a lot of information to try and make an RFP. I spoke to Council President Buchanan. I told him it would still take some more time to do this. It's a little painstaking to get an RFP together, but once we do, then we wanted to give it to council. We wanted to give it to the chief of police. We want to give it to the presidents of the EMS squads so they can also review it.
Okay.
And
Next item.
under public safety, I have one, excuse me, I want to go back. What?
Public Works.
I know, but I have one under planning and zoning that I should have put there. Kirk Mick and I had a meeting with a company that's on board in town that is looking to put up solar panels on their roofs.
Commercially.
Commercially, correct, for their own use. And Kirk and I, when Kirk did the calculations are just $86,000. It's too much money. Kirk and I are going to review what other municipalities have, but they needed to go forward, so they were willing to pay the $86,000. They're willing to pay the $86,000, but we want to make sure that, just to let everyone know, is that we would like to have a conversation, and he would not be grandfathered by the $86,000 if we reduce it. We would also reduce his fees as far as that's concerned. I'd like to talk to Jay also about other municipalities, what their rates are. Some of them are just by the panel, some are the connection fees, but it's a lot of money, and I don't think any other towns that we saw so far would be charging that much money. So I want to have that conversation and recommendation for next.
Does anyone have any objections?
No.
Okay.
Next item.
Authorization to scrap the following 4 borough-owned vehicles: 2005 Crown Vic VIN 2 FAHP7 1W45X109666, 2004 Crown Vic VIN 2 FAH971W65X109670, 2003 Crown Vic VIN 1 FMZU 72E4 1ZA50311, and 2004 Ford F-250 VIN 1 FTNX 21564EB858400. I would like to tell you that our guys have done a fantastic job of cannibalizing this, and there's not much left, right? Authorization to auction the following borough-owned equipment: a motor, Caterpillar, and engine, serial number 9TL194153306, one motor, serial number 7N546V, and if you all remember the boat docks from Hurricane Sandy, these are just scrap that's got to go.
Okay.
Authorization to advertise for the receipt of bids for water department chemicals, and authorization to advertise for the receipt of bids, tree and stump removal services.
CFO's report.
2018 budget transfer resolution and budget meeting schedule.
We need to schedule for all of you in the next 2 to 3 weeks, a meeting when we can sit down and go over. So what's your pleasure?
Terry, send out, does everybody, do you have a
Dates in
meeting
mind?
scheduled, Councilman? You have a preference?
I'll work with the council.
All right,
You
Terry,
wanna
why
do
don't you set out a bunch of dates, and then let's take the one with the largest amount of people that can attend.
Can we just do it prior to a council meeting?
Do it whenever you want to do it. We generally did it 6.
I would rather set like an hour and a half on one of the alternating Mondays. Does that make sense? Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
What time?
7 o'clock.
March 4th, 7 PM, budget meeting.
7 to 8:30.
Any other dates?
What's that?
March 18th?
How about next month? Oh, next Monday's the holiday. Next Tuesday?
It's my
birthday.
We'll bring a cake.
Why don't we just pencil it in for before the next council meeting and see if we can get a date other than that? Because we're all coming here anyway on that day.
5:30 or 6?
I would say 5:30.
Can everybody make
Oh, no,
5:30?
you need a good hour and a,
That is an hour and a half.
okay.
Give me another date.
No, that's fine. That way people won't talk too much. That's even better. Before the council meeting, before the next council meeting at 5:30. All right?
5:30 on the 25th.
Anything else? Tim? Okay, Borough Engineers report, Attorney's report.
No report, Mayor.
Anything for executive?
No, sir.
Public portion, any questions or comments?
Mark Hurley, President, AFSCME Union here in Sayreville. I just had a question about the emergency medical services issue. I spoke at Council President Buchanan that there were some issues that came to our attention that could be detrimental to certain portions that would be proposed, and that we would be brought in as the police dispatchers to go over them. I just want to know if that's still going to happen.
Yeah, you're going to be part of the group that we meet with, you, the police, first aid, just to make sure that everyone has input into what we're putting out into the public.
Very good.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
While he's here, we had discussed in the police contracts that we would reopen or relook at the AFSCME and SAMs to make sure that everyone was equal. So if we can have Dan, if you can have the attorney contact them and go over their contract to make sure that everything is fair. Okay?
Are there any other questions or comments? Being no questions or comments, I'll take a motion to close the public portion.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Take a motion to adjourn.
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor.
What is that about the resources? Is that resolved?
Yep.
Where these guys were originally on the list, is that list expired?
The list We decide on each.
Where's O'Donnell? Is he on the list, huh?
I'm sure I have your email anyway. I have your email.
Good night. Night, Dave. Night, Vic. Drive safe.
What's that? Yeah, you owe me $1. But you won too. You said under. You were under. I was under. Night. We'll talk about them tomorrow. We're gonna put them together in an Excel spreadsheet.